All right, Unit 8, Day 5. We're going to talk about the key features of a parabola. A parabola is what is graphed when you have a quadratic equation. Okay, the vertex is like the turnaround point. It's going to be the maximum or the minimum point on a parabola. It shares the x value with the axis of symmetry. So the vertex is this point here. You may want a highlighter if that helps you organize your work. All right. The focus is the point that lies on the axis of symmetry and is the same distance from the vertex as the directrix. And it's the point that's inside the parabola. The axis of symmetry is a line that goes through the center of the parabola and that splits it into two congruent halves. So the axis of symmetry shows you where it's kind of reflecting over. Either side is a mirror image. Directrix is a line the same distance from the vertex as the focus, but on the opposite side, and is perpendicular to the axis of symmetry. The p-value, also known as period, you might want to write that, is the distance from the vertex to the directrix or the focus to the vertex. And it's represented by the variable p. Whatever the distance is, it's always positive. So it's like the absolute value because distance can't be negative. So whatever this distance is here, that's considered p. This distance is also considered p. If I were to count, up 1, up 2, down 1, down 2. The distance for each of those would be 2. All right. Here's our equation in vertex form. Y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. The vertex, I might draw a little sketch here so we can see what I'm talking about. The vertex, this point here, has an x value that's opposite of h and the same as k. So we talked about this last class a little bit. My vertex will be hk, but this minus sign is with the formula. So for example, if this was x minus 2 squared plus 5, then that means our vertex is 2, 5, because the negative is part of the formula. If this happened to be plus, the only way for that to be plus is because it was minus and negative. So then the vertex would be negative 2, 5. So it's like the opposite of that number. But we still consider it hk. A, the number here, will tell you if the parabola will open upward like this or downward like this one. It will open upward if A is positive. It will open downward if A is negative. It will also tell you how wide the parabola is going to be. If it's a 1, then it's going to be like a standard width. If it's a whole number like 2, 3, 4, it's going to be skinnier. If it's a fraction like a half, a fourth, a 12th, it's going to be much wider. The directrix is outside the parabola. Okay, so it would be like down here. The focus is inside the parabola. and it has the same x value as the vertex. The directrix is written as an equation y equals some number. So we find that number by taking our h value and subtracting whatever we get for our period if it is a upward facing parabola. And we get the focus by taking our ordered pair would be h, and then we would take our k and add the period to it. The period is the same distance the focus and directrix are from the vertex. It is represented as p. Kind of said that on the other page already too. To find the y value of the focus and directrix, use p equals 1 over 4a. So p is period, a is that letter that's in the front here, telling you how wide and what this is facing. Use p equals 1 over 4a to find the distance they are from the vertex y value. Then if the parabola opens up, we're going to add p to the y value of the focus and subtract p to the directrix. If the parabola is opening downward, we are going to subtract p from the y value of the focus, because or to find the y value. So the vertex would be here, the focus would be inside, so we have to go down, so subtract. And the directrix would be up here, we have to find that value for the directrix, so we would add that because we're going up to find the directrix. So here's our first example. So here's our equation. Which way is it opening? So the 1/2 is in the front. The 1/2 is considered A. That's positive, so it's opening upward. I will draw a little sketch here. Encourage you to draw one as well. Just knowing that it's opening upwards. The vertex is HK. The K is easy because it's just that 3 back here. And then the H, the only way it's plus is because it was minus a negative. So -3, 3 is our vertex. So this is our vertex, -3, 3. Our focus would be inside the parabola, in here. But we don't know the period yet, so we have to find the period. So period equals 1 over 4 times A, which is 1/2. So 1 over 4 times 1/2 is 2, so 1 over 2. So to find the focus, we're going to have the same x value, -3, and we're changing how high we're going. So we're going up 1/2 more. So instead of being 3, this is 3.5. So this ordered pair is -3, 3.5. And the directrix would be this line underneath. It's also going to be 1/2 away. That distance is 1/2. So we have to subtract 1/2 from 3, and the equation is y equals 3 minus 1/2 is 2.5. Let's look at some more. Number 1, which way is this opening? So it's +2, so it's opening up. So I would encourage you to sketch yourself a picture. The vertex is HK. The negative is part of the equation, so it's like the opposite of the number you see. The opposite of -2 is 2. 1. So this is 2, 1. We need to find our period to the focus. What is the distance here? So if A equals 2, period equals 1 over 4 times A. A is 2. So period is 1/8. So the focus is 2, comma, 1 plus 1/8. We'll just do 1 and 1/8. It's okay for these to be fractions. The directrix would be outside and perpendicular, so this line, it's going to be y equals, while I'm going down from this, so what is 1 minus 1/8? We still have that distance of our p here. 1 minus 1/8 is 7/8. So y equals 7/8. Number 2. Which direction is this opening? Well, we have a negative number here, so we know this is opening downward. Something like this. Our vertex is opposite, so -3, 1. So this means the focus is going to be down this time. The focus is going to be inside still. So instead of adding the p, we're going to subtract our p. So if our a is 1/8, and we can use -1/8, but remember your period is the distance something is from 0, so we don't really need the negative because it's going to be absolute value. So period equals 1/4 times 1/8. 4 times 1/8 is a half. Yeah, a half. And then 1 divided by a half is 2. So the distance here is 2. So I'm going to take my vertex and focus will have the same x value. For the y value, I'm going to take the 1 and I'm going to subtract the p value. So subtracting 2 get -1. And if you need to put this on graph paper, that might help you a little bit. You're welcome to grab some if you're in class. Okay, Directrix will be me going up because this is an upside down one. So it'll be y equals, and I look at the y value of my focus, and I would add the 2. So my Directrix is y equals 3. Number 3. All right, so what number is A? Well, it's the number in front there, so it's +1, so this is going to open upward. My vertex is opposite of this number I see, so +7. There is no number back here, so 0. My focus needs to be inside, so I'll be adding whatever it is, so 0 plus something. So let's find our A is 1, so our period is 1/4 times 1, which is a fourth. So we're going to add a fourth. So 7 comma a fourth. And our directrix, our distance here is a fourth, so we would be going a fourth down from 0. So subtracting a fourth, this would be y equals -1/4. All right. Next, we have to be able to find the equation of a quadratic if I give you two things, the vertex and the focus, focus and directrix, or vertex and directrix. So here's our little reminders on what to do. First, let's go ahead and write our formula. So y equals a times x minus h squared plus k. The vertex and focus, or vertex and directrix. So if we're given the vertex and one of the other two things. Find the distance p between the focus and the vertex. So find P, and then we want to find A using P. So on the other side, we used P equaled 1 over 4A. Well, if I take that equation and solve for P, I'd multiply by 4A. So 4A times P equaled 1. And then solve for A. So divide by 4 and P at the same time, 1 over 4P. So these two equations are ones we use either to find P or to find A. This time we'll have P but not A, so we'll use this one. They're very similar though. So find your A value, plug the vertex HK into the vertex form equation. If I have the focus and directrix, we want to find the midpoint to find the Y value of the vertex. So this is if we have this piece and this piece, we want to find the midpoint to find the vertex, so find halfway between those. That will also be able to give us the period, because the x value of the vertex will be the same as the focus x value. Find A using the formula. All right, so let's go ahead and start. Write the equation in vertex form for the given information. The vertex is 4, 5, so this is HK, so we can already start it. Y equals something, maybe, or A, x minus 4 squared plus 5. Now we just need to find A. We have the focus here, so I would encourage you to sketch this. So 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's our vertex, and our focus is 4, 8, so write 4 up 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. Our parabola is opening upwards if the focus is above, so I know this is going upwards. Whatever number I get for A should be positive. So let's find the period. How far away are these numbers? Well, what is 8 minus 5? 3. So if our period is 3, now we can find our A value, because A equals 1 over 4P. P is 3, so 1 over 12. And I know it's going to be positive because it's opening upwards. And again, I knew it was opening upwards because once I graphed my vertex and my focus was above it, I know the focus point is inside the parabola and the directrix is outside. Number 2. So I have the focus and directrix this time. So I'm going to go ahead and sketch these first to start with. So the focus is at 2, 1, so right 2, up 1, focus. Directrix is at y equals 7, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The directrix is up here. If the focus needs to be inside the parabola, that means it needs to be going downward. Now I need to find where is my vertex. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find the midpoint between here and here. And I can go ahead and use the midpoint formula, and that's what I will do. I know the vertex will have the same x value as our focus, and the y value will be finding the average of these two. So 1 plus 7 over 2. That's the midpoint of those 2 points. So the vertex is 2, 7 plus 1 is 8. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So the vertex is 2, 4. So the vertex is here. Well, how far away are these? From 4 to 1, my period is 3. So you could have done like 7 minus 4, or you could have done 4 minus 1. Either way, you should get a distance of 3. So I know that this is opening downwards, so y equals negative some number. Now let's find our A. A equals 1 over 4 times the period. The period is 3, so 1 over 12. So negative 1/12 times x minus our h, which is 2, squared, plus our k, which is 4. Number 6. This time, again, this time I have the vertex and the directrix. So if I plot these, the vertex is at negative 2, 3, left 1, up 3. Directrix is at 3.5. So if this is 4, then 3.5 would be like here. Wow, those are really close to each other. Well, if the directrix is above it, then that means this thing is facing downwards. So y equals negative some number. All right. I don't really need to find the focus. All I need to find now is our a value. So x minus the h, so it's minus a negative 2 squared plus k, which is 3. Well, minus a negative, we can just simplify that as plus. Finding our a, well, let's first find our period. How far apart were 3 and 3.5? Those were 0.5 apart, or half. So a equals 1 over 4 times 0.5. 1 over 4 times 0.5 is 2, so 1 over 2. But we know it's negative because it's opening downwards, so negative 1/2. And the last one like this, again, we're going to be given the focus and directrix. So let's go ahead and plot those. 4, negative 1/2, so right 4, down 1.5, about there. That's going to be the focus. Directrix is negative 2.5, so that's negative 2.5 would be here. Those are pretty close together. So that means this is going to be opening upwards. The vertex would have to be halfway between those here. Well, let's go ahead and calculate the vertex. So I know that my vertex would have the same x value, so 4, comma, and then I would find the average of these two, so negative 1.5 plus negative 2.5 over 2, finding the midpoint of those. So the vertex is 4, comma, negative 1.5 plus negative 2.5 should be negative 4, and then negative 4 over 2 is negative 2. How far apart are these? So negative 2.5 minus negative 2 those are 0.5 apart. And if you want to like write that down, negative 2.5 minus the negative 2, those are 0.5 apart. Even though it's negative, it's distance here. So my period is 0.5. Okay, or negative 0.5, but distance is always positive. So if my period is 0.5, A equals 1 over 4 times 0.5, so 1/2. Y equals. It's positive, so I know that it's just 1/2, it's not negative 1/2. X minus my h, which is 4, squared, plus my k, so it's really plus a negative 2, which I can just put minus 2. There's my equation. Okay, and last portion. I know this is a big day. Last portion is definitely some big Algebra 1 review. If we want to write something that is in vertex form in standard form, We want to rewrite it. So write out the squared portion and distribute. Slash FOIL to multiply. Simplify like terms. Make sure the equation is in standard quadratic form, so descending exponents. We want our squared term first, then our regular x, then our constant. So let's jump in. So we have something that is like this. We want to put it into standard form. Let's go ahead and do 1, 2, and 3. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to expand what's in the parentheses. I'm going to ignore the y for now, and it will add back in at the very end. So that's x plus 6 squared means write that twice. And then tack on the minus 1 at the end. We're going to distribute inside with these parentheses, and we're going to drop this -1 down. We're not going to deal with it yet. So when I distribute, this is x minus x, which becomes x squared. We're adding the powers. X times x was x squared. X times 6 is plus 6x. 6 times x is plus 6x. 6 times 6 is plus 36. Now combine like terms. X squared has nothing to combine with, so it drops down. 6x plus 6x is 12x. 36 minus 1 is 35. Drop down your y equals, and there's your standard form equation. Number 2. We're going to drop down this -2 out front. We'll deal with that here soon. X plus 3 times x plus 3. So you have a choice. You can go ahead and distribute this -2 in first, or wait and deal with it at the end. It does not really matter, because sometimes we distribute in a fraction. I personally would wait, but does not matter. This one wouldn't be too bad because it's a whole number. So I'll just leave it out front and I'll distribute inside these parentheses first. I do know that I will have to distribute this -2 in through everything at the end. So x times x is x squared. X times 3 is 3x. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 3 is 9. Combine like terms inside here, so -2, parentheses, x squared plus 6x plus 9. Because 3x plus 3x was 6x. Now distributing this -2x. -2 times x is -2x. Don't forget that squared. -2 times 6x is -12x. And -2 times positive 9 is -18. This is all y equals. And last one. Okay, I'm going to drop down this 1/2. I'll use that eventually. And I'm dropping down this plus 3. I'll use that at the very end, because order of operations will allow me to use it at the very end. Next part, I'm going to expand. So we have x plus x minus 4 times x minus 4. So it's 1/2 times all that plus 3. Now let's go ahead and distribute. X times x is x squared. X times -4 is -4x. -4 times x is -4x. -4 times -4 is positive 16. Combine your like terms in the middle. So 1/2 times all that plus 3. X squared minus 8x plus 16. Order of operations now says distribute that 1/2 inside that trinomial. So 1/2 times x squared is 1/2 x squared. 1/2 times -8x is -4x. 1/2 times 16 is positive 8. And we don't distribute it to the 3 because the 3 is not in the parentheses, but we can go ahead and drop that down. Last step would be to combine my final like terms right here. So y equals 1/2 x squared minus 4x plus 11. If you would like to see number 2
me distributing in -2 first. You can hang on and watch this. If you feel confident, you can be done. So first thing I would do is expand the parentheses still. Then distribute in the -2. So -2 times x is -2x. -2 times 3 is -6. And we still have all of this multiplied by x plus 3. Then we're going to distribute here. -2x times x is -2x squared. -2x times 3 is -6x. -6 times x is -6x. -6 times 3 is -18. Combine your like terms in the middle here. -2x squared drops down. -6x minus 6x is -12x. Minus 18, and we drop down our y equals. Notice these are the same answer. They should have been. Do not forget to take a look at your formulas. Okay, these are all formulas that we have done before. The only one that would probably be a little bit newer to you today is the vertex form equation and standard form. We looked at those last class briefly.